Hello there, welcome back. Welcome to episode 2 of the 2 Zorros, the little review series I'm doing about the FTX Zorro Nitro, this one here, and the FTX Zorro brushed electric version, which is over there. Today's video is focusing purely on the Nitro, because the electric one's sitting over there, perfectly happy, ready to be tested. This one isn't, it's a Nitro and he's running. So that's what I'm focusing this video on. I don't know if I'll get this all done today or if this video will be recorded over a couple of days. We'll have to wait and see. The previous video I mentioned that I'm a bit of a nitro noob and I've only ever owned one, so I'm doing this by the book as the instructions say. So the first thing the instructions say for me to do is fill the tank, take the glow plug out, block the exhaust, and then pull the starter a few times, pull the fuel through to lubricate the internals of this engine because it's completely dry, and then empty it out, like that, outside obviously, glow plug back in, and then we'll proceed to start it. So that's what we will do. One thing I'll show you before we start that, the failsafe was actually calibrated from the factory, which I didn't expect. So if you look at the servo there, that throttle servo, you may see it moving back and forward. That's throttle, that's brake. If I turn off the transmitter, it's automatically braking, which is really good. Stops having runaways. I turn it back on. There you are. Perfectly good. Perfectly good. So that's good. I'm pleased with that. I have also fitted in there, in the receiver box, in here, is the 6-volt hump pack to replace the horrible little double A's, you know, a little box you get to put the double A's into. So it's slightly upgraded. Right, let's get on with the run-in period. Right, I think we've got everything we need. I've got my tool here, taking out the glow plug, got my glow starter. I've got this big pot to set the truck on while it idles to make sure, because the wheels will roll forward a little bit. I have the transmitter, I have my fuel here. This is OptiFuel 20% mix. I've got my fuel bottle. Incidentally, the instruction manual said that out of the box the truck is configured for the run-in period. It's set to run rich to help the run-in period go well, to let it run in properly. It'll probably run lumpy until it's running, and then only after it's running do you then adjust the idle settings and everything. This is all me going by the instruction manual. So cool, we'll do that. First of all, I'll take the glow plug out. Oh jeez, there you are. Okay, blocking the exhaust exit. Pull this a little bit, the starter. Put some fuel in there. Right. Nothing's coming out, but anyway, doing it by the book as I said. Just putting the glow plug back in. Taking that up. And it said to back it off just a fraction afterwards, but that feels too loose, so I'm just gonna... Right, transmitter. Car on. Glow starter. Okay. Here we go, moment of truth. Will it work? Oh, no. Well, that doesn't work, does it? There's fuel in the tube. It's probably flooded, but I was following instructions. Gonna try and clear that again. I think it's flooded. Come on. Oh, oh. Is that supposed to be an idle speed? That was idle? Wow. Obviously it is running rich, wow. That was idle, apparently. Okay. And here we go again. Oh no. Slice my finger on the body clips. Okay, one tank down. I always like the smell of nitro fuel, it smells great. So, just need to do another tank full of idle. At least it's actually sort of idling now. At the start it was now it's just slightly. I've not adjusted it at all here. I've backed off slightly on the throttle and the transmitter because, as the instruction manual said, yet again, the settings are correct for bedding in the engine. So I don't want to mess that up. Right, let's keep going. Doesn't hurt. Right, so that's basically 2 tanks of idle now. Running very rich, but that's what it's supposed to according to the instructions when you first bed it in. So now on to the bit where you run it around at very low, maybe quarter throttle. Alan said to do 2 tanks of this. So we'll see how long it takes me. Just very light throttle, just moving, circling around. Enough for the clutch to engage, but fast enough that the clutch doesn't overheat and melt the spur. So, let's just crack on with it. Alright, that was the first tank of actual running, quarter throttle roughly. Bit of on and off throttle, giving it a little bit of load. Being still very gentle. I'll tell you a couple of things about this. The first one really surprised me was that obviously I was giving it, you know, very little, being very gentle with it, but even on the first blip you can feel it wants to go. It really surprised me. It feels really eager. It feels a lot more pokey than I expected. I mean, bear in mind I'm an electric guy, I'm used to instant power, instant torque, but this feels like it really wants to go, which, you know, it's impressive. The other thing is, do you remember I talked about that Nitro Rush Evo I had before that I got technically, not second, well, sort of second hand, it was traded back in by an idiot, and I suspected it was never run in properly because they broke it first day, so by hitting a curb fast enough to break it, so I very much doubt it was run in. Also, I never could get it running. Now, part of it was my lack of knowledge at the time, but I also think, I just don't think it was running properly at all, and the engine wasn't that sweet, because this one, even though it's not through the run-in phase yet, it's still early in the run-in phase. I still have to do another tank at quarter, then a couple of tanks at half, then a couple of tanks at almost full, then maybe a couple of tanks at full and off and full and off, whatever. I'm going to do it very gradually and make sure I get it right. But already it sounds a lot sweeter than that HPI one did, and that suggests to me that the HPI one wasn't treated very well from the word go. So yeah, I'm actually quite impressed so far. The light's fading. I think I'll finish this off tomorrow, but I might do one more tank at quarter throttle, and then after that my ears can stop ringing. Right then, that's the end of the first day of running it in. The lights begin to fade now. I think the glow starter is now flat. I've done 2 tanks worth at sort of quarter to a third throttle on it. Sometimes continuously just looping around, other times on and off. Try to put some load and less load and then load again, or a continuous small amount. She can go. She can go. By the time I really let rip this thing, it's going to pull like crazy. It's going to pull like a train. I had no idea nitros were this responsive and this torquey. Even a small one. It surprised me actually. So I'm looking forward to see this thing and hearing this thing at full chat. In the meantime, it has done me some injuries. Obviously, I have a blister there. I have a blister there. I have cuts there and cuts there, and bleeding here. I don't think my right hand's quite as blistered up. I've been more doing it with my left, but yeah, it's a learning process, to tell you that much. More to come. Tomorrow, hopefully, we get to half throttle. In fact, hopefully we finish the whole thing, we finish all the running. I say hopefully because I don't know what the weather forecast is going to be like tomorrow. Either way, it's going to need a right clean up afterwards. I'm just trying to learn the little idiosyncrasies when it comes to, you know, why won't it start? Is it flooded? You know, what's going on here? Playing with the compression, because as it said in the instructions about how it's low compression when you're bedding it in with the running rich, and then obviously as it gets hot, things expand. So that changes things. But you tighten up the glow plug as the engine gets run in, increase the compression a little bit. All these things I'm learning. Anyway, we'll continue forward for tomorrow. It's alright. It's actually alright. Okay then, day 2 of running in the FTX Zorro Nitro. Today we're going to start off at half throttle for a couple of tanks, work our way up from there. Yes, I'm wearing the same jumper again. I've been wearing it for several days. I'm a man, I don't care. So, let's get cracking. Now the engine is stone cold. It hasn't been started at all today, so I don't know the best procedure now, because as again, I'm a nitro noob, but I think if I bring some of the fuel into the engine, at least as far as the engine, without flooding it, that will be beneficial. So we'll see. Let's give it a try. This is at a fresh charge. The sun's coming out. Let me adjust the camera. Yep, sun's coming out. It's going to cast a big shadow, so we'll reposition. That's what we'll do. I think I made a mistake. Just try and make sure the engine isn't flooded. It's all a learning process, of course. Nitro guys are probably shouting at the screen, but no one is born with this knowledge. You've got to just gain it somehow. Right. I've decided that's made all the difference. It's fine. Oh, it's not fine. Right, that first run took ages. Ages and ages. It was quite frustrating. It kept stalling. Stalling all the time. And yeah, I'm struggling to start it. I think the instruction manual said don't tweak it until it's running. But I think by FTX's definition, this is probably run in now. Just not by Alan or I's definition, because, you know, he's given me advice I want to follow. So I might try tweaking it a little bit, but I think I'm going to speak to him on the phone first, because he's very good with nitros. It keeps stalling once the pull start gets released back in again, and it'll stall when it's idling. But the idle's fine, it's not spinning the wheels anymore. So I think it's, I don't know, I think is it the low RPM needle or something is running really rich, I think. It's definitely running rich. I mean, it's not just smoking, but it's just fuel coming out of the exhaust, you know, it's really running rich. So yeah, I'll speak to him and then we'll hopefully get the second tank through. But yeah, it's frustrating. Okay, spoke to Alan. He advised that I adjusted the high-speed needle slightly, not the low-speed needle, because the high-speed needle governs basically everything, and then low speed's for specific, you know, bogging down from moving off sort of thing. So I've adjusted it very slightly, leaned it off very slightly. So maybe, as I said, it's already run in by FTX's own definition. It's ready to try, so let's just try it. Still needs an idle adjustment. Okay, that's finally 2 tanks of 50% throttle, approximately, done. I think we're getting there now. I do think we're getting there now. I did struggle really badly today with it stalling a lot, quite regularly, and then it wouldn't start, it wouldn't start, it wouldn't start. I had to use some throttle to make it start. And then it would start, but it would obviously go and try and take off, and it's not good for the clutch then. It would stall whenever the pull string was released. My hands are a mess again, even worse than yesterday. I've now had to fully remove that. I've got the scab was flapped right open. This one was bleeding all the time. My knuckles have been bleeding today. Certainly nitro guys have got stronger hands than electric guys. So yeah, it's been tough, but I think I turned a corner. Okay, it wasn't running right, as I said. It wouldn't idle and it wouldn't start. I leaned off the high speed adjustment, and it was a high speed needle, and it was good. It went well, but still wouldn't idle. That's not worth of it. Alan recommended I leave the low speed alone. It should be okay, but from what I read online, maybe the low speed was to blame for it not idling. So I dialed it back, leaned it off, and now it can sit and idle happily, and it'll start. I'm not going to say it's the start first pull, but it's 100 times better than it was at starting, and it'll sit and idle. When I lift the wheels off the ground, they do creep forward, but I think that's normal. When it's sitting stationary, it doesn't creep forward. So it seems much happier, and I'm much happier. However, I've ran out of space. It's even at 50% throttle, it's now too quick for just outside the house here, and also it's way too stony. Way too stony. This chassis, this platform isn't coping with the roughness of my farm track driveway at all. It's bouncing all over the place. So I'm going to have to take it to like a grass field, football pitch or something, and lots of space, and then start doing 75% throttle. It's getting towards 4 o'clock now. I don't know if I'll finish this off today. I'm just thinking about where I can take it without it's not going to disrupt people, because the local park is going to be full of kids at this time of day now. So, but it's getting there. I'm getting happier with the way it's going. I still don't think I've quite sat on the right setup for all the needles, the high speed, the low speed, and the idle yet. It's a balancing act, and I think it has a little bit more running in to do. I think by FTX's definition it's now probably run in, but I'm not quite there yet. I think I'm gonna just make sure it's absolutely as good as possible. I haven't hit full throttle yet at all, so I don't want to just open it up and pin it. I want to get there gradually. So yeah, it's a journey. It really is. Well, it's getting there, but it's now cutting out near full throttle after a few passes. I tried to lean it off more, but I think I've leaned it too far and it's starting at fuel, so I've gone back, riching it a little bit again. Nitro ownership's a minefield for a new guy, but hey, we'll get there. I finally finished running in. the FTX Zorro Nitro. 2 tanks at idle, 2 tanks at quarter, 2 tanks at half, 2 tanks at 3/4, and then 1 at full chat. Not flat out all the time, but full chat, and it's pretty good. When I was leaning it off to try and tune it in, I think I went too far. I was still having problems, it wasn't starting that great. I went richer again slightly on the high speed and the low speed actually. I think I went slightly too far with both, trying to get it to run right. And for the first time, those last 2 tanks, not only did they start pretty easily, they both went the entire tank until it ran dry without stalling. It was the first time that's happened. Every other time, while I've been trying to get it running right, it's always stalled at some point. 2 tanks in a row, 1 at 3/4, 1 at full speed, no stalls whatsoever for the entire duration of the tank, and they started pretty easy. So I can't be too far away. I'd be very surprised if I was spot on. I don't think I'll be absolutely spot on, but I think someone like Alan could probably just get those last few degrees. But I've learned so much over the last day or so about how to get these things running and what to feel and what to think and what to listen for, and I'm beginning to understand it. And just even those last 24 hours, I've managed to get it pretty good, I think now. And it goes like stink. It goes really well. It's going to be way quicker than the electric version, way quicker. But obviously there's a lot more involvement here, a lot more hassle. It was quite funny after running it in at the park. I went to get some fuel for the Alpha before coming home, and I knew it was coming, but there was a automatic hand wash station, you know, for COVID, alcohol stuff, and it was like, oh, better wash my hands because of all the blisters I've got. I was like, knew it was coming, but there we are. So that's the Nitro run-in. Now, to ensure that it's fair across the board and there's no bias here, there's no favoritism, I will also use, I've got the electric one here, I will use the included nickel metal hydride battery with the electric one to bed in the motor brushes on the electric one, just to make sure that we're absolutely on an even playing field here. So I'll do that, assuming I can get the thing to start. Wow, that's amazing!